Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel. I am your host, Adam Hancock, once again. And today, like the title suggests, we are doing a 2024 A to Z breakdown guide to the wonderful suburb of Lakewood Ranch, Florida, now that we're about a year removed from my 2023 version. This year's take, I want to mix it up a bit, and I want to focus on updates and why they matter and why that gives you context for everything you want to know about this area, now that it's much more mature and we're through some of the volatility we've been dealing with. So I have 8 distinct points I'm going to walk through one by one, and it's going to cover the real estate, the lifestyle, future investment, and everything in between. So I really hope you enjoy this video's take. Make sure you grab that free 2024 digital guide to Sarasota and Manatee County if you have not yet. It's a nice flip book download. And then at the very end of the video, I will tell you how to connect with us if you are currently in the real estate market by chance. Without further ado, let's hop in and I hope you enjoy. Okay, number one on the list is a simple one to kick it off, and that is neighborhood amenities that you can actually use and not just imagine they're going to be there. You know, a lot of times when you move into new construction towns like this, individual neighborhoods, you could be in your neighborhood for a year or two plus, paying an HOA every single month, paying a CDD annually, and have no actual amenities, no pool, none of that to use, because the builder has to build those things. And a lot of times it builds homes before it launches the amenities. Well, something that 2024 will offer that 2023 couldn't, is, for instance, you have Esplanade Azario, the wonderful golf community, but a lot of people are in that neighborhood for the social amenities, which are unbelievable. Those are now live. You have Lorraine Lakes, the Lennar community up in that same area. Those are now live. By the time this video posts, Sweetwater is going to be available. So of Lakewood Ranch existing of 40 plus neighborhoods, you have resale, you have new construction, you have some very, very new stuff coming along. In 2024, you'll have the access to really juxtapose more availability when it comes to the lifestyle you can live now on a resale, quick move-in, etc. So that's my number one. Number two, we are sticking on the real estate train for a moment, and we're talking about the explosion in the district of Waterside, the first entry of Sarasota County into the Lakewood Ranch conversation. So what's really important about here is variety. When you're a buyer, which almost 100% of people watching this video are potential buyers or relocators to Sarasota, then variety and abundance is not giving you less leverage. So 2-3 years ago when Waterside came out and we're like, we're gonna do this 8-10 year plan, it's gonna be amazing. All you actually had available was Lake House Cove, which is a mixed builder, homes by town, a couple custom builders. You had Shoreview, which is a more luxury version of Pulte. And then you have Windward. A lot of people say Windward's not in Waterside, but I don't know how you do. It's right there. And that's Neal Community, which is a little bit cheaper entry point and a little bit more family friendly, but you had 3 neighborhoods, right? So if you were looking at all the options you could go up in the quadrant I was just talking about, that northern quadrant. You could buy resales. You could go in the middle. You could go to the old school Indigos of the world, Mallory Parks by the high school. It was more clear cut of total options. It felt like you had a bunch, but a lot of people's individual criteria came down to 1 or 2 neighborhoods. They didn't have 5. Well, a lot of people fell in love with Waterside. You know, the downtown, it was one of the closest districts to town, but it was hard to navigate just amongst those 3 neighborhoods. That has all completely changed, and it's changed in a big way. They didn't add 1 or 2 neighborhoods. They added a ton. So now versus the 3 you already have, you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus that you can shop in the same conversation of enjoying Waterside at various amounts of criteria, right? So if I'll just rattle them through real quick and have some notes to articulate better. We have Alcove, which is Neal's signature, only 47 total homes in the neighborhood, no amenities, but it adds semi-custom. Across the lake from that, you have Avanti, which is a much more affordable Pulte product. You have Emerald Landing, which is David Weekley. It's the unique kind of urban infill housing that almost like a Payne Park provided. You have Nautique, which is MI Homes. You have Kingfisher Estates, 13 total luxury homes that are on Kingfisher Lake. Then they went to the other side of the Lorraine, and you have Wild Blue, which is like the Lake Club on steroids, 550 something homes, all custom builders, stock developments heading it up like they did on the last section of the Lake Club. Amenities will be like luxury condominium level. It's huge bodies of water, similar to Kingfisher. Across from that is going to be a brand new community. There's not a ton of information on it. It's called Shellstone, which is going to share a lake with Wild Blue, and that's Homes by Town, who built Lake House Cove's newest, which is about as high end as you can get if you don't do custom. In that same conversation, Then you have very close to that down the road from Founders Club, you have Monterey, which is Toll Brothers' new products, which will be like the Isles-esque, that level, much more luxurious than some of the Venice products. And Toll Brothers and Homes by Town, as close as you can get to custom without needing it. And then there'll be a new, more affordable Pulte product right next to that too. And all of these, some say Monterey is not in Waterside. Some say the new Pulte is not in Waterside. Windward's not as well. But in my experience, people shop circles on a map. They don't say, is this officially in Lakewood? They shop circles on a map. And now you have 11 plus neighborhoods to pick from that live a similar lifestyle. And you can take that whole product, compare it against the stuff that was built from 95 to 2005, take that whole product, compare it against going north to save money or get closer to the high school or something like that. Sarasota versus Manatee County. You actually have options in a world that felt like options, that was more of a smokescreen, I would say, in 2020. So that's my number 2. Okay, number 3 on the list, let's talk some fun stuff and talk restaurants, commercial amenities, and the like. The first one I think is really exciting, and that is the addition in less than 30 days from where I'm talking right now in December 2023 of a brand new library to Lakewood Ranch. The first one in a long time to the area. And this isn't just a normal library. This is 50,000 square feet. It's 2 stories, and it has a lot of modern things going on that you don't see in libraries, you don't see in even Barnes & Noble of the world. So I think it's gonna be a fantastic area, whether you have kids or not, or fantastic addition rather. And just locationally, before I want to tell you some stuff inside. Locationally, this one is gonna sit right next to that premier sports campus. So it's basically just below Lorraine Lakes and just above the premier sports campus on Rangeland Boulevard, just for reference for you. So it's north of State Road 70. But listen to what you're gonna have at your disposal here, and I'll be kind of brief. A main library with public computers, of course. You're gonna have a reading room with private cubbies and laptop spaces, but it looks real like co-working space. It's so real modern looking. Children's library, an outdoor play area. You're gonna have a private nursing area. You're gonna have a separate teen section. They have something called the maker space, and the maker space is gonna have a soundproof podcasting booth. You're going to have sewing machines, 3D printers, rotary cutting machines, just to name a few. Never seen this stuff in a library. Conference rooms, indoor vent room, and rooftop terrace. So in a world where work from home is a lot bigger and people are coffee shop hopping and always trying to find something to do with your kids, having something right in the heart of Central Lakewood Ranch like this is going to be fantastic. All right, the next one I want to talk about is Waterside again, but more on the lifestyle side versus real estate this time around. And we're going to focus on Waterside Place. So Waterside Place was the introduction to the first proper downtown in the suburbs of Sarasota. You know, we've always had like downtown Lakewood Ranch, you have little shopping centers, etc. But Waterside Place makes the argument for, do you really need to go into downtown for all the urban amenities you miss out east in the suburbs? And it makes that argument strong. However, in 2023, this was another case of, Waterside's always been lovely, Waterside Place. It's on big water, it's very walkable. You had some events there, etc. But there wasn't a ton of businesses actually open at your disposal because they were still in the heat of development. 2024 is going to be a year of availability. A lot of those coming soon cool things are going to be available. You had Good Liquid Brewing, you had the Korean Steakhouse, you had Kilwin's chocolate, you had O&A coffee, you had some options, right? But in 2024, between now and probably mid-year, you already have a distillery that opened. That wasn't open a lot of last year. You have Forked, which is a breakfast place that opened. That wasn't available a lot last year. Duck Donuts is coming, the popular franchise. You have Asteria 500, the Italian place. You have another Italian place coming. Agave, Mexican restaurant on the water there. You have Deep Lagoon, which is a seafood restaurant. When it comes to like health and wellness, there's a gym, there's Pilates, and there's a yoga shack. On the clothing side, they opened a place called Florida Provision, which is like the real kind of real Florida-inspired clothing in every sense of the word. There's a couple women's boutiques. Black Dog, the cool branded Florida lifestyle brand, which is in St. Armand Circle, is out there. And playground, splash pad, volleyball courts, the water taxi's coming. It is just going to be way more functional beyond just the farmer's market. So again, it's a great time to be in Lakewood Ranch because of all those kind of things you're excited about, you're planning on, you can use all of them today. All right, the third one is about the farmer's market itself. So I skirted over in the previous section, but the farmers market in Lakewood Ranch moved a while back from downtown Lakewood, which was really the only spot for it, or like kind of across the street from downtown Lakewood, to the Waterside District, and it's been going fantastic. And the infrastructure just simply is a better fit. You know, you have 25-foot wide sidewalks. The way you block it off, it's not a bottleneck like downtown Lakewood felt to me. And it was very notable because it was recently ranked #1 farmers market in the entire state of Florida. There's 100+ vendors, and it's 22nd in the nation, based on the only poll that exists for farmers markets of this kind. And it's just, it is enjoyable. It's the path of least resistance. You know, my wife and I bring my young kids out there. There's turf areas in between the restaurants. There's a lot of places that aren't just a cluster. And you can get food and drink. It's kind of open container downtown. You can stroll, and there's not cars driving through like a downtown would, and none of that kind of stuff. So it feels safe. It feels inclusive, and I think it's a great addition, again, to Lakewood Ranch. Okay, and then we have a district called Center Point. And again, I've been making the argument a lot on this channel, if you've been watching at all, about just getting anywhere in the vicinity of University Parkway out in this area, the amount of stuff at your disposal. Like, they're just bringing everything but the beach. And Center Point is no different. So this one's more of a mixed-use, commercial, traditional-looking spot. It's very close to downtown Lakewood Ranch. It's right above Waterside and very close to University Town Center. You're going to have 80,000+ square feet of retail shops, specialty grocer, restaurants, etc. But this one really jumped on people's radar when Owen's Fish Camp announced that its second location, which is now open, was coming to the district. It surprised a lot of people because, again, Owen's Fish Camp is a old school Sarasota staple. It's in the historic district of Burns Court, right in downtown Sarasota, and it's unique. It's in these old houses. It looks like a fish camp. It has this like backyard, courtyard area. They serve like beer out of a boat. There is boiled shrimp. There's all kinds of stuff, right? Seafood's amazing. It's on the top 5 lists of everything you could Google when it comes to Sarasota. But coming out in Lakewood brings something like that to the suburbs, adds space, adds parking, all the cruxes of downtown Sarasota. And that surprised a lot of people. So again, now you have downtown Sarasota's second locations, coffee shops, seafood restaurants, right? All you're missing is the beach. Ruth Chris Steakhouse is now open. They're putting a car wash. There's a place called Bar Italia. Tommy Bahama, the clothing brand, mixed clothing brand, is bringing something called the Marlin Bar out there. And I've seen some bar restaurants with them. It's actually pretty decent. McDonald's is open, 7-Eleven. Chamberlain's is another place that's going to be open. Another yoga place. Another place called Crisp Green is opening. There's a Pilates place coming. So again, just offering on top of offering on top of offering that if you live anywhere in the vicinity that you can utilize. So I think this was a cool one as well. Okay, the fifth one in this category is downtown Lakewood Ranch itself. I don't want folks to assume my interest in new development is overlooking this district because this is simply just another lovely offering if you live in Lakewood Ranch, and it's right in the heart of it. Most of it already existed in 2023. So when it comes to updates, there's not a ton there, but it's still a great addition. There's a lot that is elsewhere, but there is some stuff that is nowhere else, you know? I mean, there's a Mexican place, there's Italian, there is sushi, there's ice cream, there's a Starbucks, Station 400 for breakfast. The Grove is a great restaurant, whether it's happy hour or dinner. There's barber shops. But you also have, this is where you're gonna find a movie theater. This is where you're gonna find putt-putt golf. They do First Fridays during certain seasons. And they're not completely done with development. They announced recently a place called the Peculiar Pub, and you already have McGrath's, you already have Ed's, which I think is the same odor. So you got everything from golfer bars to family-friendly restaurants to after-dinner ice cream and everything in between. So downtown Lakewood Ranch would be another offering that you can't completely discount. And then we have something called the University Town Center. And you know, the thing with Lakewood Ranch is that you have clear perks of things that exist and are called Lakewood. Waterside Place, you have downtown Lakewood, you have the stuff on State Road 70, etc. But a lot of the same lifestyle lives on the fringes of it. You know, one exit down, 2 miles to the west or the east, that still, if you're living in Lakewood, you're utilizing these things. And one of those big offerings that's appealing is this concept called University Town Center. So what they did here, it's like a whole thing. Wouldn't even make sense to hash out all in this video properly, but I'll do my best to be brief, is what they did is they built a luxury mall called the Mall at University Town Center. But versus you just having the mall, having a nice food court, and it being like the International Mall with Bay Plaza or something in Tampa, they built concepts around it. So there are full separate sections that are all part of University Town Center. The mall at University Town Center, they have full separate like shopping centers of mixed use space. 200 plus retailers, 80 plus dining options. You don't go to the mall food court. You go behind the mall and go to full restaurants. It's got every retailer you could think of. There's Target, there's an REA co-op coming there. Pop Stroke just launched, which is like the Top Golf of putt-putt golf, Tiger Woods concept. Just a lot of stuff at your disposal. It's every grocery store, it's every furniture store, clothing, multiple restaurants, kid-friendly, and then they do events on top of events on top of events. They go ham on Christmas, every trunk or treat, they got everything. So University Town Center is something I would completely view as a Lakewood Ranch adjacent amenity. Okay, and the last one I wanted to mention in the same line of thought of the fringes is called Fruitville Commons. And this is one exit below technical Lakewood Ranch. So again, they're basically hitting it from every corner. The way to get to Lakewood Ranch is basically exit 213 on the interstate, covers 217, and then it creeps into exit 220, right? But the way to get to the beach, downtown, all that kind of stuff, you have to go east to west. And if you're on the Lakewood Ranch side, Fruitville is your conduit. You know, if you're south, you have Bee Ridge, etc. But Fruitville, exit 210, is your conduit. And it was basically, it's basically kind of a pass through. It's real close to where I grew up. It's just kind of like you're mostly over there. There's like a Target, there's a Publix, but you're mostly over there to get to that exit. Because once you go east of that, you're going to like Mayaca, you're going to the country, and there wasn't a lot there. Well, they built a whole concept right there. So now this backs you into Waterside, and it gives you more additions below Lakewood Ranch. So again, the concept of, do you need to go to town? So another mixed-use space, they put a Cooper's Hawk winery and restaurant, which I actually think is kind of really good. A lot of people, it's a chain, but I think it's really good. When it comes to the food side, and there's one in Tampa as well. They just opened a Twin Peaks, which that was a little surprising to me, but there's been none of those I've seen anywhere I've lived in Florida. Paddy Wagons, which is a pub, Irma's Tacos, which they also opened in Welland Park in South Venice, Dunkin' Donuts, Big Top Brewery, which is a local brewery, is moving, I believe, its main headquarters over there. You have a place called Wow Wow Lemonade, which is like a unique spot. There's a fitness place, you have self-storage, and there's more coming to that. So you sit here in Lower Lakewood Ranch, and you have downtown Lakewood Ranch, Waterside Place, University Town Center, Fruitville Commons, and that's not to mention the Libby's, the Publix on every single corner, the Chick-fil-A's, and all of that other kind of stuff. So pretty incredible offering when you talk about commercial amenities bursting onto the scene. Okay, the fourth major point in this video, I want to talk about the northern quadrant of Lakewood Ranch. When you've come here shopping, you start with like some level of criteria and you end up in certain areas because of it. Now, the diversity of housing might open your areas, but a lot of things back in maybe 2.5 years ago, it was a lot of the juxtaposition around the Waterside-ish district, including the Lake Club and the Isles and parts of Country Club. That's lower Lakewood. Versus going to the old school northern Lakewood, which is along Lakewood Ranch Boulevard. That's what they built first, north to south. That's Indigo, Mallory Park, Central Park, Summerfield's up there. It's the high schools right there. And then what they did, the next thing they did is they went east of that. So they went north and they replicated it east. And that's where a lot of the new construction came. You went there because you got priced out of Waterside, or you didn't want the schools in Sarasota County. So you needed to be up there. Something like that, like brought you to that area. And when you got to that area, at that time, you had a couple neighborhoods, but they were so different from each other. So therein lied the issue. So if you got up there to the northern side, so think Lorraine Road, U-line, north of State Road 70. We'll show on a map here. Then a lot of people are looking at Sapphire Point, which is Pulte, versus Lorraine Lakes, versus at that time you could build in Lakewood National. Solera was D.R. Horton was there. Crestwind was a 55 and up brand. And a lot of people ended up there because of Esplanade Azario, which is basically the newest, sexiest golf option, still the newest, sexiest golf option in Lakewood Ranch. If you wanted to build more of a custom home than a Lennar would provide, Taylor Morrison, unbelievable amenities I mentioned. But your criteria basically went up there and you didn't have four neighborhoods to really look at because it was Lennar versus Pulte versus Taylor Morrison. They're all very different. Amenities were completely different. Well, now with the addition of the newer neighborhoods over there, this one kind of stands alone. I feel like this part of town, if you're looking at Lakewood in quadrants of saying north, north, east, and then kind of south and central, I would say, is one bucket. They added a community called Star Farms. So Star Farms, 1,500 homes. It's going to be a large, several hundred acre community headed by D.R. Horton with their multi-brands in there. But then they also brought custom builders there, and Homes by West Bay, which I've seen in Tampa a lot. Now in Welland Park is coming out there as well. So now you have, and their amenities are going to be ridiculous. You have restaurants, you have very, very kid-friendly stuff. Another very kid-friendly offering was Sweetwater. So Sweetwater's MI Homes. Oh, think Oasis in Venice or Nautique in Waterside. But they have like a dirt track or some sort of like street track for kids racing cars. They have playgrounds. They have all kinds of stuff. But again, very kid-friendly. Lorraine Lakes amenities are now open. And then you have Palm Grove, which pops in there. Palm Grove is Neil communities. So think Windward, Indigo, Grand Park, Grand Palm. Neil Community's newest offering. So it just announced, they say 700 plus to 900 plus homes. They're going to do their normal thing. So think if you liked Indigo in 2018, this is Indigo times 2. So it's up on State Road 64. It's going to have villas. It's going to have single families. And their price points typically will very realistically be in the low 3s, probably on the split level villa, but a lot of homes in the mid 5s at like the 45 or 52 foot product. So now you can go up there. So the big thing about Lakewood for me, I know I'm like rambling here, but the big thing about Lakewood for me is that you take this set of beliefs, the set of wants, beliefs, needs, ceiling by your criteria. And ideally you want 3 to 4 options within that. If you end up in this district, you might have ended up there for the schools. You might have been chasing one neighborhood. If you love everything when you get there, but the neighborhood doesn't work, it'd be really nice to have a plan B, C, and D. And 2-3 years ago, no one had a plan B, C, or D. If you liked the Lake Club, there was no plan B. If you liked the Isles as a junior lake club, there's no plan B. If you liked golf, you didn't have a lot of new options. It was old versus spec builder versus going really north when you want to be in Waterside just to get new construction. Well, that's all changing. So this is a very, if you're getting the rhythm here on the argument, I think the northeast part of Lakewood Ranch is finding its footing. I think they're going to add commercial amenities up there, that's the lack right now. You don't have to run to Waterside for everything. I hype on that a lot. So when they start building up on State Road 64 and the libraries out there and they start adding to that, which they're going to do every time they have this amount of people come to town, then imagine a place where even north of State Road 70, you don't really need to travel to get to stuff. And then all those traditional knocks of it being a deterrent no longer exist, and it could be interesting. Okay, number 5, we're talking affordability. I mentioned that a lot the last few weeks, but Lakewood Ranch had a big affordability problem when the average price got over $600,000, and even the affordable places like Windward were selling villas for $600,000. The demand, there's no ceiling, right, on what they have to sell. So it's a supply and demand conversation if you can control appraisal value. But this was not a place that a lot of the original concept of families and the needs there and the great schools and the multi-generational suburb, a lot of that priced a lot of those people out. Well, they had to reintroduce perspective affordability, right? It depends on your opinion of it, but they had to reintroduce it. And they've done that with a few different communities, which will give you 4 or 5 communities where you could feasibly buy a lot of homes under $600,000, under $500,000, barring stuff I don't know about you now. But they added Aurora, which is Lennar's newest offering, and brings hyper affordability, especially for the size and the orientation of a home when you're speaking of a family or you need more space. Avalon Woods is Ryan Homes, which is traditionally even more affordable than Lennar. And Ryan Homes has not existed in this area in the past. And these are all in the central districts near the good middle schools, elementary, and the good high school. Palm Grove, which I mentioned, which is Neil, which gives you, it's not technically affordable housing, but it gets you competitive. Avanti, Pulte's affordable housing outfit in Waterside, they're smaller homes, villas, single families, but it gets you an amazing district for that price point. Nautique's going to be in a similar conversation when it comes to, I think Nautique's 220 something homes, 180 plus of them are townhomes. We had an agent, Casey Truman, on our team who bought one herself, and I think they make sense for homestead. I think they make sense for ROI investment eventually and all that kind of stuff too. But you do have feasible offerings now in addition to the other things that were traditionally affordable. So I would say in Lakewood Ranch now, You have 5, 6, 7, 8 different neighborhoods that you could do something like this in. Okay, number 6 is about golf. Satiating the golf deficit. It felt like there was 400 different neighborhoods that were golf friendly in Lakewood Ranch. It's not really the case. What we've had in the past is we've had a lot more demand and a lot more neighborhoods that seemed like a very much a golf enthusiast would purchase in, especially when it comes to luxury stuff, where they had nowhere to golf. So your couple problems were just simple bandwidth. So if you have a deeded golf community where you can only really golf most of the year if you live in the community and have the deed title to your house with a golf membership. You had Esplanade Azario, which is only 1,500 homes. There's 900 golf memberships or less. And it's the only new golf right now. It's the only brand new construction golf in Lakewood Ranch. It's dad, I guess, community. Esplanade Golf and Country Club was the one built before it. And that's already, sold out. You'd have to buy a resale to get in there, and you have to make sure it has the golf membership on it. Lakewood National has 2 really lovely golf courses. I believe 100% of Lakewood National is deeded to the community, but you have to want a Lennar home, which is a very spec inventory style build. You got to want all that, and then you have Lakewood Ranch Golf and Country Club, and that has 3 golf courses inside of it. It's a private club. And it's been on a wait list for a very long time. And Rosedale is optional golf. I think it's public technically. Terra has a public side and a private side, but you got to want those communities. You start going down the list, there's not a ton of options. And even if you wanted to get into them, there's way more people, because if you don't live in Lakewood Ranch Golf and Country Club, right, that's one. But you have the Lake Club next to it. The average price point in there is very high. You have the Isles next to it. You have Wild Blue being built. All of Waterside, nowhere to golf. Well, what they're doing, a couple things that I think could be interesting that sit within the same district. One I talked about on my last video. Lakewood Ranch Golf and Country Club is, I think it's beyond the rumor mill. It's going through a private sale. I believe it's down to 2 bidders, venture capitalist firms. It's down to 2. And what they want to do with a private club, which sometimes ends up bad, they want to improve it vastly when it comes to memberships. So I've heard they're going to add 1 or 2 additional golf courses. And in addition to that, they're going to buy a golf course that already exists in the area. My first thought was Legacy, but I've heard it might be like River Club or something like that, a mature club. Revitalize it and allow, now if you're in there on that membership, you could have access to 4 to 6 total golf courses. But really important here is that they think it will add 900 to 1,000 membership availability. And I believe they're on a wait list of 200 plus right now. So you're going to have fees increase. You're going to have that kind of thing, but typically they're relatively moderate. That's going to be very huge for the area, because it really should hopefully satiate the need of the deficit in totality when it comes to lower Lakewood Ranch golfers, if you don't want to live in a golf neighborhood just to have it available. Also heard that they are building another Lennar golf course that's a mirror kind of to Lakewood National on the Bourneside Road. So you see their recipe, right? They're just going east. Bourneside's like Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, Uline, Lorraine. It's just the eastern version of north to south, like behind the Isles and behind Libby's. And I believe it's going to be a single 18-hole course and then a 12-hole in addition to that. And if they do it like they did it last time, then they'll build a neighborhood that's Lennar based, just like Sarasota National Golf, Welland Park Golf and Country Club, the same Bonita National, right? You can look all those up, all Lennar. And 100% of the homes hopefully will be deeded in there. But that offers hyper affordability, very loose rental restrictions when it comes to the suburbs. And Esplanade Azario has got rid of a lot of their bidding in their homes. So just general golf landscape now. I would take a fresh look. This kind of video is a stream of consciousness style, but definitely reach out. We have a lot of people that are deep in the boroughs of golf in Lakewood Ranch. And there's a lot of other cool things going on in eastern Sarasota as well. So please reach out if you're interested in that. And let's do 2 more. Okay, the 7th one on my list is about schools and education options. And this is a lot of the reason that many folks end up in Lakewood Ranch, because the schools are great. And you already have, like, sitting here at your disposal, even a year ago, you have 13 plus pre-K options if you have young ones under 4 or 5. You have about 8 different public schools across the grade levels of K through 12. And then there's around 6-ish private schools also, right? So that already existed. I want to focus more on the updates, because a lot of the problem with the popularity growth is the capacity burden. Many of these public schools are 200, 300, 400 plus over capacity. And that doesn't count any of the kind of school choice things or the sports specific things that happen around this part of Florida. Well, there's a couple really nice things coming that are more feasible that you can put your hands on today for planning purposes. One of those that launched in 2023, and it's going to be eventually like a K through 12, and it exists in some capacities because it's new right now, is Lakewood Ranch Prep. And this one is up in that northern part as well. And it also offers the WISH model. So I believe that's wellness, innovation, science, and health. So it gives more innovative, kind of functional type of learning. So if you're into that Montessori style or something more unique than just private or just public, then this is a tuition-free charter, high in demand, but it is a nice little option. One of the most exciting to come, though, beyond that, is the brand new K through 8. So the brand new K through 8 is coming also to the North Quadrant I've been talking about. It's a lot of, like I'm saying, like you can see the patterns of like where they're putting all this stuff. A lot of kids up in that area. And this is going to relieve a lot of the burden that exists right now with Gola Elementary and Dr. Mona Jane Middle, which a lot of people really enjoy, but I believe they're 300 plus over capacity right now. So this is going to be K through 8, first of its kind. You can go pre-K all the way to 8. So you can get like 9, 10 years of your kids potentially being in the same district, same schools. Now you can buy these more affordable neighborhoods in that area with amazing amenities and stay in the area and don't have to have your kids at schools that were designed to have less people. So it's going to take a lot of the burden off of that. It's going to be new, and what comes with new is a lot of times when they have the opportunity to do something new, the design of the buildings and what they offer is different. There's going to be like hands-on agricultural programs and a lot of kind of things, stuff they can do with all the conservation land up in that area. So those are two that I really, really like. You can see on the map that in lower Lakewood Ranch, below University, there's several zone school options, right? You're going to have stuff within the Waterside District. You're going to have stuff east, west. So it's going to allow you to choose where you want to live and have good schools, things to do, good places to eat, and places potentially to work in, around, or remotely, where Lakewood Ranch, usually one of those things was missing, two of those things was missing. And that's going to include the Northern Parish area as well, the Rye Road area. That's all coming as well. But I just want to mention those two to you because I think those really will excite people if you've been dealing with these issues. Okay, my 8th and final one, just to put a bow tie on this whole thing, is just total long-term investability of Lakewood Ranch. Whether you're actually an investor or not, just long-term value. A lot of folks have communicated to me that they think they've missed the time in history when it made sense to invest in Lakewood Ranch because it's gotten so crazy that it's at its ceiling and it's, you're buying at the worst end of it and all this kind of stuff. Well, what I would say about that is, one, the market's kind of moving back in a direction where it becomes much more interesting. But I would say about that is you got a couple things going on. One, it's at its infancy. To say Lakewood Ranch is almost done is not true at all. And you got to look at the geography and where they can go next. It started in 1995. I get there's 30, 40 neighborhoods. I get it's existed for 20 plus years. But look where they're going. They're going east. They're going southeast. You have Bourneside. You got a lot of land over there. They're backing their way into like High Hat Ranch in central Sarasota. And they're simply, so you have that part. But they're simply removing a lot of the local negatives. Like if you're from here, it was far. It was really, really far. And you're like, people viewed it like they talk about parish. Is like, yes, of course I can save money. Of course I can get, these community-driven neighborhoods and gated and golf and et cetera, new construction. But I lose the texture of what Sarasota is. I'm too far from the beach. And because of that, the value is going to suffer. It's never going to be quite the same as the other. It's its own thing now. Like Lakewood Ranch, same with what's going to happen with Welland. It's not going to be like, I'm moving to Sarasota, let's figure it out. It's going to be like, I'm moving to Lakewood Ranch. And now you got a Crystal Water Lagoon coming to Southern Parish. And I've said everything but the beach a bunch of times, but what more do you need? If you're looking for this kind of house, it really is going to solve that problem. And to round all that out, you can see a lot more options now. So now if you're actually shopping, you're not buying because you got squeezed out of one and this is your best option at the time, and you're taking more of a leap in a prayer. I think now you can look at the total landscape. When the interest rates went higher and demand went crazy, and now it's kind of reversing back a little bit, but it's going to be more moderate. I think you're going to have a more even playing field. It's not a buyer's market necessarily, but you're going to be able to see more information to go into the algorithm to make a decision. And I feel like that's going to mitigate a lot of risk when it comes to total investability of Lakewood Ranch, because everything they build from here is going to be a lot more similar to what already exists. And a couple of years ago, they were building stuff that was very innovative versus what previously existed. So you had to guess, is Esplanade Azario too far? Do I do Waterside regardless of the price because it's lower? Now it's a lot less of a guess. So that's what I would say about that, if that makes any sense at all. And let's round this thing out. All right, my friends, that is a wrap for my 2024 A to Z guide to Lakewood Ranch, Florida. I am Adam Hancock, and this is the Florida Relocation Guide. If you enjoyed it and you, by chance, are not subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I do 1 to 2 videos a week. Really try to add a lot of value coming into 2024 here. So that's the best way to see that coming. If you haven't grabbed the Sarasota Digital Guide, please do so. We also have a brand new Tampa Bay digital guide on the website. We have a new home construction specific guide to Sarasota, and we have a Naples guide that will be updated a couple weeks after this video is done as well. So you can get your hands on any of that. It's completely free. Of course, low-hanging fruit is if you are in the market for real estate. I own a brokerage called the Sunshine State Company. It's full-scale Florida-wide, especially Southwest Florida. Very unique organization. We have a lot of people that have already done what you're trying to do, live and breathe it every day. And we really try to match make beyond just me, beyond just Tana the broker. We try to match make the best for you and your family and where you're at. We meet you where you're at, basically. You can text, you can call, you can email, everything in between. We'd love to set up a call with you. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We'll see you on the next one.